I'd like to welcome everybody to the Pattern Disruption Podcast. This is the show where we break through the noise and we dive into the stories of those who've shaken up the game. I'm your host, Eric Rhymes, and every week I'm gonna bring you real, raw conversations with entrepreneurs, educators, entertainers who've went from the shadows to the spotlight. So if you want to learn what it takes to rise above the rest, you're in the right place. Let's break some patterns and start the show.
What up, y'all? It's your girl, Just Hilarious. And when you want to listen to something real nice, you got to log into my man podcast. What is it, y'all?
This was like a last minute live that I felt the need to do. In regards to this Bitcoin craze, I feel like we are really in the beginning of it with the research that I've been doing. And I know there's people that I got Facebook friends, people that I know just through my travels who've been on this wave for a long time. And I see that we got to a point where we're holding at 100,000. It's kind of dipping at or below 100,000. Some people don't know what Bitcoin is even to this day. I think less than 1% of the population has Bitcoin. Hang on. This is one of my guests calling. Let me see. Yes, sir. I got you on live, man. So you probably won't be able to make it in the studio, but what I'll do is I'll play your voice. You'll be on the phone, so they'll be able to hear you. But I'm waiting on Sidel to come in the room. I'm gonna do a brief introduction. And hopefully, I wish I had a way where you can call in, but I'm gonna work on that for future shows. Even if you can't get it working right now, like I say, I'm gonna have you on speaker once Sidel gets in the room. I know it's short notice, brother. It's short notice, but I feel like we need to talk about this because my interest since that 100,000. I've been buying Bitcoin, but I'm still way behind. I should have been a lot further ahead. It's been a minute since I've been doing the podcast. I had a major life event where I went in a total opposite direction with things, but it was for the better. And I feel like the best is yet to come. So Bitcoin. Are we too late for Bitcoin? I asked myself that because I remember when it was $30,000 and my homeboy was telling me, man, you need to do this. You need to do this. It's only going to keep getting bigger. We at the beginning stages of it. And I think at the time he had a Bitcoin and a half. And this is somebody that I grew up with. And I used to work at Chrysler. Well, I didn't work at Chrysler with him, but we both worked at Chrysler. And he just kept pressing Bitcoin, and I was a part of that craze where I bought it was some different altcoins, like I'm sure some of y'all bought those too. What was one of them? Dogecoin, and it was another one. Yeah, Shiba Inu and those. So I did invest in those. I went and opened those accounts. I opened a Ameritrade. I opened a crypto.com. And I just, after the pandemic, it just kind of went dormant and I never looked at it again. But in the process, I found out that if you're buying Bitcoin, you got to make sure you know what type of wallet you have, and it's just so many scams out there in the metaverse. So I just hearing all this different noise, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna keep investing in real estate. I know real estate. I come from a real estate background, and you can't steal a house. You know, I heard about the people taking titles and putting titles in people's name and all that kind of stuff. But I was kind of, I wanted to just play it safe. So I stayed in real estate and I kept working and, doing stuff like that. But I remember my grandmother, she was in real estate, but my uncle, he was buying stocks and mutual funds. Although she put him on the real estate game, he lapped her when he got in the stock market. And today he's multi-million, and she did well, but she didn't do as well as he did. And it's just the different vehicles. She was scared of the stock market. So I kind of followed after my grandmother. I don't know much about stocks. I did some research, and it felt like gambling. It just felt like gambling. It didn't feel like it had a basis. But Bitcoin was a little bit different because it had at the time it didn't have any utility to it. So I was like, what are we going to use it for? And it had utility amongst. So if you listening, one of our guests, he couldn't get on the live, but he's on the phone right now. This is Jason McHenry. Yeah, they can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just didn't see where it had utility. And back then, what utility did it have unless it was the dark web or what utility did it have back 10 years ago?
Okay, well, the reason Bitcoin came out, it was a peer-to-peer payment system. If you borrowed $1,000 from me, then the bank wants their cut because they facilitated the transaction. But with Bitcoin, if you owe me $1,000, I can send you that $1,000 with no intermediate person or anybody interfering on our transaction. So it was a design to be a peer-to-peer transaction currency.
Okay. So let me ask. So anybody that's in the live, can y'all hear him? Sidel, can you hear him? Okay. So matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna introduce Sidel right quick, Jay. Stay backstage for a minute. I'm gonna introduce Sidel. Sidel is also somebody I went to school with. He's a dynamic investor with a sharp focus on real estate, stock options trading, and cryptocurrency. With a passion for wealth building and a knack for spotting opportunities, Sidel has crafted a powerhouse portfolio that showcases his strategy, his hustle, and his precision. From masterminding the twists and turns of the real estate market to navigating the fast-paced world of options trading, Sidel stays ahead of the curve. In the ever-evolving space of crypto, Sidel embraces innovation, pushing boundaries, and seizing the moment. I wanted y'all to welcome Sidel Murray to the stage.
What up, though? How y'all
What
doing?
up, my brother?
Oh, yeah.
What up?
Hey.
So as you know, I got Jay. He was supposed to be he was supposed to be on the live, but he got an Android, man. I had to talk to him backstage, like, man, you got to do better with your life.
Come on to
But
the dark
for some
side.
reason, his browser won't let him come in the live. But Sidel, I did a brief introduction on who you are. Let the people know who you are and what you do and how you got involved in crypto.
Well, Sidel Murray, father of four, college graduate, graduated school, couldn't find a job. Nobody wanted to hire me because I would lack experience. And I was like, man, how am I supposed to get experience if nobody ever hires me? So kind of bounced around from dead end job, got into construction. I found out that wasn't the way to go either, because I used to get laid off a lot. and I used to take those times to that I get laid off to study real estate, and then I purchased some properties. Um, followed the rich dad poor dad rule, and pretty much after like 5 years, I escaped the rat race, and I wanted to do that so that I could spend the majority of my time figuring out ways to make money without actually having to straight my own time for it. So those were things that always attracted me. And one of the things that I found during the pandemic, all of my income came from real estate. So when they had that eviction moratorium, it was like, okay, if all of my income comes from real estate and now they're saying that the landlord doesn't have to pay the tenant, how am I going to pay my bills? So that's kind of like when I knew, like, man, I was living a little too close to the edge. So, during the pandemic, everybody's up like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever, kids running around and everything. And I was looking at Facebook, and it was saying something that the largest wealth transfer is about to happen, and most people were about to miss out on it. So I needed some wealth transferring in my direction, because I didn't have, with this rental properties or whatever, like if the tenants didn't pay. And that's how I was introduced to cryptocurrency, because the guy was sitting there. He was saying a lot of these jobs are going to be replaced by AI. And he said that, in order for you to survive, because there's not going to be enough places for you to trade your life at, to where you need to get some crypto. I had never heard of crypto. I didn't know what it was, but he had a newsletter. I invested $400 in coins that he recommended, and 3 weeks later, my income had or that $400 had turned into $1,200. I was hooked.
Yeah.
Again, studying like 13 hours a day, 7 days a week. I did this for 2 years straight, and I just started investing in crypto. And then
what year was that again?
this was 2020, May of 2020. Bitcoin was $6,000. Because they had just announced COVID, and like all of the stock market crash and like all that type of stuff. And I kind of caught it when Bitcoin had actually fell all the way down to like $3,800. But I didn't know about it then. I kind of found out about it when it got up to like 6,500, and just been kind of investing ever since.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. So you other than that, you didn't really have a background in stocks prior to 2020. Were you in stocks? And
Well, no, I didn't. No, the way that the stocks came about was because just from being a student of the game, I realized that there was a difference between wealth and being rich. Like, wealth is a mindset, and a person, if they hit the lottery and they get it, they have like a lump sum of 10 $1 million or whatever, they're rich. But if they don't have the mindset, they're going to lose all of that money.
Right.
So wealth was a way of, just how long can you survive without having a job? So I was more so looking at, different ways to get wealthy. So that's where the real estate came in. And then when I got the crypto and I saw like those large numbers, I'm like, okay, it's like one of those rich things. Now I have to figure out a way to turn it into wealth. So that's when I found out about stock options. And so I started generating like 3%, taking my crypto money and generating like 3 to 4% a week in a stock market with very little risk.
Okay. They're looking at Bitcoin as being a type of new gold, like a digital gold. How does that equate? I mean, gold, we don't know how much gold we have on the planet, but we do know that it's only 21 million Bitcoin that'll ever be produced. How are you comparing that to a gold rush, or do you compare it to a gold rush?
Well, actually, Bitcoin is better than gold, in my opinion, because there's 5 aspects of money, that the best money has to produce or have. It has to be divisible. It has to be portable, which you can take it different places. It has to be durable. It has to be recognizable, and it also has to be scarce. So when you look at those different aspects and you look at gold is not really portable, because if you have any major wealth, that wealth is going to be, it's going to be heavy. It's not really divisible, and, it's durable, it really only meets 3 of those 5. And if you look at the dollar's divisible, is not scarce. And the scarcity aspect, people believe that, gold is scarce. But the thing is, if there's gold on the asteroids, if the gold price went up, all it would do is have more mining vehicles go out and mine more gold. But if the price of Bitcoin goes up, there's a set amount that comes into existence every 10 minutes. So no matter how high the price goes, you can't go and find more Bitcoin. There's only going to be so much that comes out of the machine. So it's a supply and demand dynamic, and it affects the price. And every 4 years, that the amount of Bitcoin that comes out of the machine, it is cut in half. So that's why every 4 years you see this crazy price rise. So it's almost a predictable thing. But this time is a little bit different because we have large players. We have large players right now that have trillions of dollars that are trying to buy up this limited asset before the vast majority of the human race even knows about it. So by the time most people find out about it and they like, okay, I need to buy some of this stuff, there's going to be so little of it, and the price is going to be so large to where you're not going to be able to buy a significant piece of it because of the price.
Right. Okay. So, like I say, man, it's a lot of information about it. Tell me a little bit about the decentralization versus centralized. Matter of fact, Jay, you on the phone? Do you want to touch on anything that he just said, or do you got your own view on it?
Well, yeah, pretty much what he said was the same. If you had gold, how do you buy a loaf of bread with gold? Do you shave off a little bit, or do you break a piece off? It's not divisible. You can't carry gold through the airport.
Right.
Bitcoin you can carry all around the world. Secondly, I want to comment on this, and he can speak on this. If you had an emergency, you could only sell that gold when the market is open to receive a buyer. With Bitcoin, I could trade it 3 o'clock in the morning on Christmas morning.
Right.
So I can move Bitcoin at any given moment that I want to.
And why is that? Why are you always able to liquidate it at any given time?
Because of the blockchain.
Okay.
The blockchain allows you to make access, whether sell or buy or trade anytime in the world.
It's 24/7.
What is the blockchain? The blockchain is a new form representing a ledger. Let me see. I'm trying to find a way to break it down. So, Dan, you might want to break this down. Help me out here.
Well, the blockchain is just basically, like he said, it's a ledger. It's a public ledger, and it records transactions that happen. And it's it's available for everybody to see. Unlike the US dollar can be printed into oblivion, and nobody really knows how many dollars are in the circulation. But as far as like with Bitcoin is part of this ledger, and everybody has a copy of it, and everybody can go and see where all of the Bitcoins are. So it's pretty much like the Bitcoins are at different addresses, but nobody knows who owns that address. So it's kind of like pseudo-anonymous is what they call it. So
okay, pseudo-anonymous.
Yeah, pseudo-anonymous, yeah.
Okay. I want to ask, so this question, I think I just asked about decentralized and centralized. What tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, well, when you think of centralized, if you imagine like a wheel has a spoke, or it has like that little centerpiece, and then it has spokes coming out, out or whatever. That centralized thing, if you can look at, if you think about it, the center of the wheel is actually like the central banks, and the money, goes out to like all the different types of banks or whatever. But the central thing controls the money. In decentralized finance, there's no central person, because like with Bitcoin, the way that Bitcoin comes into existence, there's like all these supercomputers that are like all over the world. And all of these supercomputers are like, it's a race. So they're all trying to be the first to solve this complex equation. And the first one that solves this complex equation, they're rewarded in Bitcoin. So that's how Bitcoin comes to existence. So in essence, any of these computers all around the world can actually print the money, which is the Bitcoin. Whereas in the centralized deal, there's only that central authority that can do it. But with decentralized, any of these things can do it.
So you want to say something about that, Jay?
No, he was right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. See, because what makes this something centralized is that it always goes back to a central point. I'll give you an example. The dollar is centralized. Why? Because it goes back to the United States government, the Federal Reserve. So that's the central point of where the dollar is made and where it is received. With decentralization, there's no head. So no one can, basically, it's kind of crazy because if it's centralized, then you got a help station. You can call somebody about it. But if it's decentralized, there's nobody to help you. There's nobody that you can call. There's no help center for it.
Okay, so that would be a con. That would definitely be
that could be a pro and a con based on how you look at it.
Yeah, it depends on who's looking at it. The person who's the centralized authority, it will be a pro for them because they get the control of money. But if those same people, the same central authority, the decentralized version will be a con for them because they want to have all the authority to control everything. So that's why for the past, few years or whatever, or since Bitcoin has been in existence, the major central governments have been fighting against it because they would lose power. And you go back to 1974 and you look at Henry Kissinger, which happened to be the Secretary of State for the US. He said, he who controls the money controls the people. So people are controlled through money.
Yeah. I thought it was he who controls the media, controls the people. But
he who controls the assets, the gas, the food, the water.
He who controls the energy controls continents. He who controls the food controls the people. Okay. And he who controls the money controls the world, can rule the world, control the world. That's a direct quote from Henry Kissinger.
Okay. So if for anybody that just came on the live, I have Jason McHenry on the phone and my brother Sidel Murray. They both have been talking to me about crypto, not just crypto, but talking specifically about Bitcoin for years. And I did get into the game where I started dollar cost averaging. Kind of tell the people what dollar cost averaging is, Sidel.
Well, dollar cost averaging, a way that most people will be familiar with is if you have a 401k plan at your job, you have a set amount, like 10%, you set it at 10%, and every week 10% of your income comes out and it goes towards like this pool. You don't know, and it buys like a portion of these shares of stock or whatever. You don't know what the price of it is, but all you can control is the amount of money that you deduct or you send over there. So let's just say it's $100. So if you send in $100 every single week over to buy this stock, when the price is higher, that $100 is going to buy less of those shares. And when the price is lower, the price is going to buy more of those shares. So without you even knowing what you're doing, just by you constantly sending the same amount of money, you're actually like going to end up winning because you're buying more when it's less and you're buying less when the price is high. So it's a way of, investing.
Just a little bit.
Go ahead.
Dollar cost average in the easy way is this. If we had $1,000 and we tried to buy a coin, let's say that we only got 100 coins with that $1,000. But if we dollar cost average, that means we cut that $1,000 into $100 for 10 days. Then we're going to catch the high and the low. So at the end of the 10 days, we will have more than just 100 coins most times.
Right, right. Well, for anybody just stepped in the live, this is Jason McHenry on the phone. We had some technical difficulties, but definitely wanted everybody to hear what he had to say. He's been investing in Bitcoin for years, back in the day, back when it wasn't cool to be a part of the Bitcoin craze. He was in it. And now he's seen a major uptick. If you've been paying attention, Bitcoin is on the rise and it's a lot of talk about it. But I used to tell him, like, because he always, in our group text, he would send messages when it went up and he would get quiet when it went down. And I said, that's backwards, bro. Talk to me when it's low. I want about a dip.
You know why I do that? Is because it's easier to show people and motivate them when they see the market going up,
right,
opposed to going down. Right. Most people don't understand when the market is going down is when you want to buy. Yeah. You always want to buy in the red. You want to sell in the green.
That's the hardest thing to do.
Excuse me. I was only telling you guys back then when it was a cheaper price, because now you get to experience all the profit.
Right. Okay. And you got in, Jay, when was this and how much was Bitcoin when you first invested?
Okay, well, let me make this story real quick. I went to my friend Eric Grimes' house and we played a game called the Rat Race. The very first day I played that game, I quit Chrysler because I wanted to be out the rat race. And just so happened, Sidel was at Eric's house. And Sidel turned me on to Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin was made about 10, 12,000 even. Yeah.
And for the record, I didn't tell that man to quit his job. And listen, that's another. No. I'm just joking. But I do want to do a disclaimer. The information shared in this episode is for educational and informational purposes only. It should not be considered financial advice. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions. But yeah, so we played Robert Kiyosaki's game. The name of it is
Cash Flow 101.
Cash Flow 101. And we used to play it from time to time. And I think that your perspective changed when you start playing that game. There it is. See? Yeah. Yeah. So we played the game. Yeah. And that real life Monopoly kind of changed all of I think everybody, Robert Kiyosaki and his whole, that culture of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think that's one of the go-to books that shifted everybody. Your house is not an asset. You know what I'm saying? When I heard that, it went against everything I'd ever heard. So it kind of shook everything up.
Yeah, passive income.
Yeah, and passive income, man. Well, yeah, we don't, yeah, but that's the rabbit hole I want to go down. But I do want to ask a couple questions about Satoshi. What's his name?
Nakamoto.
Is this a real person?
Well, it's nobody knows if it's a person or a group of people.
Right. Okay. My camera is jacked up, man. Yeah. So some people say, conspiracy theorists say that it's the government. They want to bring a new financial system in. They put this person who you can't track, has no history, is gone from the present, and you don't know what's going to happen in the future. It's just perfect. It's the perfect setup to make us feel like we're a part of something exclusive and decentralized, and then they take it and adopt it, and now they, you know what I'm saying? It's the perfect setup if that's true. What do y'all say? What do you say about that, Sidel?
Well, I'm not a person. I mean, I'm not smart enough to know the answer to that, but I'm the type of person who doesn't put all of my chips on one thing. So there, for all I know, the CIA could be behind it. They could have started it, because if you look at the all of the intricate parts and everything, you're like, man, how could anybody think of all of this stuff? Like,
Right.
because the way that it operates, and I'm like, they could honestly have been behind it, but that's why I don't have all of my wealth in Bitcoin. I use the money generated from the crypto and put it in the other assets, because if they do pull the rug from up under me, okay, well, cool. You know, I made a bunch of money with this, but now it's stored over here. You know, so
Right.
you know, that's
Well, yeah, that's a perspective you don't hear from a lot of people. Jay, what do you have to say about that?
Well, if you look at it, the US dollar is the same as Bitcoin. It had to get the belief of everybody else for it to become valuable.
Yeah. We had to all adopt the concept in order for,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I think this is just a new financial concept to adopt.
Okay.
I think the world is moving in such a way that we need another financial currency, simply because Bitcoin can be used on the computer and the dollar can't. If you look at the way the world is going with this metaverse and all of these things, how do you spend $1 in the metaverse?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just thinking more so down the line, and it may be a little bit of futuristic thinking, but I'm just thinking forward.
Okay, I got you. For anybody that's, like I say, new to the new on the stream, I got Jason McHenry on the phone. My brother Sidel Murray. These guys were both, I mean, in the beginning of Bitcoin, they were talking about it. They were behind it. They were investing in it, and I can't say that they didn't tell me. So with me being a little, I'm sure I'm far behind y'all when it comes to my investment in Bitcoin. But I did do some research, and I found out that it was a good perspective on the internet. It said that even if you own 0.0008 of Bitcoin, you will be better off. And that's just a small percentage of Bitcoin, but you would be better off than the average American who doesn't have any at all. So right now, I think I think he equated that to like $900 right now. If you had just $900 invested in Bitcoin, Bitcoin at some point may go to $1 million a coin. It's still, it's just so much to kind of unravel when it comes to this Bitcoin thing. But I just heard Donald Trump say that he's behind it. So now is that a part of what's pushing the price up?
Well, it has. I mean, that's definitely helping, but the price was going to go up regardless of if he did anything, because of that 4-year cycle that I was talking about earlier,
Right.
because of the halving. So this is really the first time that we've ever had this much institutional adoption, because all of the other previous halvings, you know, you've seen all of those wild price movements without the institution. So this one, what many are believing, is going to be the biggest one ever. Like the things that we've seen in the past, we may never see them again, because now you have central banks who have unlimited amounts of money. Bitcoin could be $500,000. They can be like, okay, give me 50 million, or like, give me like another 10,000 of them, and they could just print the money out of thin air. And when they print the money out of thin air, that causes inflation, and everybody who works for the money, that actually devalues there, and it makes them poor. So in essence, everybody needs to have some Bitcoin just in order for you to keep your purchasing power that you have now, because the dollar over time goes down in value, and over time the Bitcoin goes up in value. So it's kind of like an inverse bet. So you want to take these worthless dollars that you have and put it into something that's going to actually go up in value. That's the whole thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created so that you could take back, like, because if you really think about it, the central banks have an ability to print money out of thin air when we have to go out and exchange our life for it. That's pretty much like unfair, because if we exchange our time for money and they're just printed out thin air, in essence, what they're doing is they're devaluing our life. So Bitcoin is a way of taking back your life. You're like, okay, I'm going to go out here and work because I know that if I print money like how y'all do, I'm going to go to jail, because that's called counterfeiting. So
Right.
I'm going to take these dollars and put it into something that's going to go up in value. I know that you don't like it. You don't like it because you're not able to control my life the way that you were, because he who controls the money controls the people. I'm taking back control of my life. And
Yeah, that's a good example too.
yeah, and that's pretty much like what it is.
Yep.
Okay. Bitcoin is also a hedge against inflation. When inflation happens, the dollar value goes down. When you have an inflation of the dollar, the value of Bitcoin goes up. Meaning the more time, I guess I may be saying it backwards, but what I'm trying to explain is when the central bank turns on that money printing machine and they can just keep print money, the value of the dollar goes down. So let me just say a quick story, y'all. When Bitcoin first came out, a man spent 10,000 Bitcoin on a pizza. Today, the same value of those Bitcoin, you will be a billionaire. The way Bitcoin is designed, every 4 years is going to multiply, because you're going to have a reduced value of Bitcoin being printed or being mined. It's going to be a smaller reward for the miners. Right. So when that happens, every 4 years, the price of Bitcoin goes up. If you just look at the charts, you can see going from 10,000 Bitcoin to buying a pizza to today, if you had 10,000 Bitcoin, you're a billionaire.
You could buy islands.
Bitcoin first came.
Yeah. No, he said you can buy islands. But I want to tell you, I remember Sidel telling me about the halving every 4 years. You did tell me this, man. So I mean, but let me ask.
And I made a video about it in 2020, May of 2020.
Yeah, you did. Like
a week before the halving.
Let me I wanted to ask a question before I forget. Yeah, that's what it was about. It's about the halving, and why is the halving? Halving
actually what it's called. The halving.
Halving.
Yeah.
Why is the halving significant to Bitcoin? And give me the Twitter version, because we have 40 minutes.
Go ahead, Jay.
Okay. The reason why it's important is because during the halving, the Bitcoin amount is reduced. So let me give you an example. Every 4 years, I'm gonna give these hypothetical numbers. You can look them up, do your own research, just to be precise. But let's just say when Bitcoin first came out, when you solved that mathematical equation that Sidel was talking about, you were rewarded with a Bitcoin, with 50 Bitcoin. And then the next 4 years, that reward was cut in half. So now when you solve that mathematical equation, the reward is only 25 Bitcoin. In the next 4 years, it go from 25 to 12.5, 6.25, 3.125.
We have 3.125 right now.
Yeah, we have 3.125 right now, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so
but so it's like a supply and demand thing. Like the supply is going down, but the demand is increasing. Like now you have demand like that you've never had before, because you have what's called FOMO, fear of missing out, from nation states who have unlimited amount of money. So, but you have a supply that's shrinking, and the demand is growing exponentially. So the price is going to explode.
Gotta shoot up.
So if somebody was the title of this live was Bitcoin, are we too late? What would you say to somebody that hasn't bought not one
You're
Bitcoin
never
yet?
too late. You're never too late. You're never too late, because this is the thing. Like, there was a guy I used to work with. He knew about Bitcoin before I did. And there was this guy, he said, hey, Peter, he was like, if you ever catch me smoking, I'll give you $1,500. The guy, he caught the guy smoking 3 times, and he gave him $1,500 each time. Bitcoin hadn't even reached $20,000 yet. And he told me that he didn't buy any. I told him about it myself. He's like, yeah, I know about that. I'm like, hey, you need to get some. Bitcoin went from 10,000 when I told him all the way up to 70,000. He still never bought any. Now it's at 100,000. It's like you're gonna have to jump on sometime, you know what I'm saying? Because the price is gonna keep going. Then you're gonna be looking back like, I remember it was 20. I could have bought it at 20. Now it's 100. I'm not gonna buy none. I should have bought it back then. Then it's like $500,000. You're like, oh, I remember it's 100,000. So you end up never buying it if you don't really just jump on the boat.
So adoption, I think, is key for the public to get involved in it. Like when they see other, especially governments, adopting it, people tend to trust that a little more. And I don't know why we trust the government, but that's a whole nother story. I heard the mayor, the exiting mayor, he said that now Detroit is going to accept Bitcoin for taxes. What do you think about that? Sam?
Nobody gonna pay in Bitcoin because nobody want to be the piece of guy like Jason was speaking of earlier. Nobody want to be the guy who spent $10,000 or 10,000 Bitcoin on a pizza.
Right. So basically, the government is trying to get Bitcoin. It's actually a pretty good scheme.
Yeah. For people who don't know and the people who already own
to get
Bitcoin,
your Bitcoin.
Yeah, and most people, I don't think it's really gonna. I don't think they're going to get too much Bitcoin.
Right. Well, you got to think.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off. Here's another thing. Does your public know that Bitcoin has been hiding in plain sight every day? If people are scared of Bitcoin, then tell me, why do you have Bitcoin ATM machines at Walmart? Why is there Bitcoin ATM machines at the gas station?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. No, that's real.
It's been hiding in plain sight.
I remember at one point, Sidel, you were borrowing your Bitcoin, taking that money and investing. And you had some type of way you were doing it. I don't know if you even want people to know that. But
I mean, it's like investing, probably not 101, probably 202. The name of the game is to accumulate assets and borrow against your assets and buy more assets, because in this country, loans aren't taxed. So you buy assets and you borrow against them. That's how Donald Trump only paid $750 when his secretary paid more than that, because all his money came from borrowing against his assets.
right.
So that's the same thing I did with Bitcoin. I just was borrowing against my Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin. So as the price was going up, I was able to pay my loan off, get my Bitcoin, which was the collateral, and now I had more Bitcoin than I had I not taken out the loan to buy more Bitcoin. So it's like you take out loans against your assets and buy more assets. So
okay, that's a whole nother strategy.
It's just same thing with real estate. You buy real estate, you take a loan out, and you buy another property. It's the same thing.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Jay.
Can I make a small comment?
Yep.
To all your listeners? Bitcoin is a hard asset, which means that you can borrow against it.
Hang on, you breaking up.
It's a hard asset, which means you can borrow against it.
Right.
So you can buy Bitcoin, later on need the money, and take a loan out against your Bitcoin, the same way you do with your house. If you want, instead of selling a house, like Sidel was saying, the way you create wealth with Bitcoin is You can use buy Bitcoin when it's low. Wait till it get to a larger amount. Take a loan out against your Bitcoin and buy other assets, apartment buildings, houses, and then you let the rent from the houses or the apartment buildings pay back your loan of Bitcoin. So once the loan is paid off, now you just multiplied your assets, because this is going into an asset-based world, and we're going to need assets to get loans. That's why Bitcoin came. One of the reasons why Bitcoin came into play, because now it gives power back to the people.
Okay.
It's the largest wealth transfer ever.
And that's transfers on both sides, because people who are like rich right now, you know, they're rich in dollars.
Yeah.
Those dollars aren't going to be worth anything, because it's going to be about how many assets do you own. So right now, you know, it would be wise for people to get their credit in order and start buying assets, because pretty soon they're not going to care what your credit score is. They're going to be like, okay, how many assets do you own? And if you don't own any assets, it's pretty much like you like, they say it's only going to be rich and poor. The rich are going to be the ones who have the assets. The poor are going to be the ones that don't have assets. So right now, what would be wise is to get your credit up in order to be able to borrow money to buy assets. That's the whole game. When you in real estate has created more millionaires, because you're able to borrow the bank's money and purchase an asset for yourself. So you borrow money and then you purchase assets, because when the stuff switches around, they're not going to care about your credit no more. So it's just going to be about how many assets you have.
Okay.
Something else to this. If you don't buy Bitcoin, when the dollar does fall eventually, what do you get on? It's something called CBDC, central bank digital currency, which is programmable money. And you don't want to get on that. That's another reason why Bitcoin came into play, because it gives you now financial freedom.
I was trying. That's a whole nother thing. I stopped short of that, because what's happening is, you think about it, jobs are being replaced by AI. Like Sam and people already knew that the jobs were going to be replaced by AI. Sam Altman, which is the founder of ChatGPT, he was actually writing a program, and the program that he was writing was overwriting the old program, which was overwriting the old ChatGPT. ChatGPT was so smart to where it saw that he was trying to overwrite it and kill it, and it started to overwrite the new program that he was writing with the old program to self-preserve itself.
Right.
So if AI is that smart, is getting that smart, can you imagine how many jobs there is going to be replacing?
Yeah.
And if people trade their time for money, but there's not going to be any places for people to go trade their time for, how are they going to make money? Where's the money going to come from? It's going to come from the government in the form of a central bank digital currency. And as you know, whenever you get money from the government, they control you. Like people who get food stamps, they tell you what you can't buy. You can't go buy any liquor with that food stamp if you want to. You can't go buy cigarettes or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they're telling you what you can do. So that's what's, if you don't have any assets, that's what's going to happen to you, because the assets are going to pay you whether you work or not. So, but so it's like you just pretty much have to get strategic. And it's like most people, they will rather just be like that ostrich and put their head in the sand and think like, okay, if I don't see it, it's not going to happen to me, but it's just going to overtake. You know what I'm saying?
So for people that are watching or who are going to watch at some point, if you want to buy Bitcoin, what's the best, in your opinion, both of you guys, what's the best vehicle to buy it from, or what's the best app, or what would you say? Because I actually buy on Cash App.
That's a good one. What I do, I buy on Cash App too, sometimes. But the main one that I buy on is called Swan Bitcoin.
Swan.
Yeah, Swan Bitcoin. And there's and there's no trading fees up to $10,000, your first $10,000 worth of purchases, Bitcoin purchases.
If you were explaining to a 10-year-old what Bitcoin is, why it's valuable, and you had 3 minutes, both of y'all, you go first, Jay.
Okay. Listen, young man, what I'm about to explain to you, you might not understand, but I still want you to buy it. Most people say that I'm not going to buy it because I don't understand it, but most people don't understand the combustion engine, but they still buy a car. The point I'm trying to make is just because you don't understand it, don't let that sway you not to buy it, because you will understand it later. It's almost like buying mansions at $100,000. And I say that because the way Bitcoin is going to multiply itself, by the time you get my age, you would never have to worry about money again. That's if I was talking to a 10-year-old.
Okay. And Sidel, what would you, how would you explain Bitcoin to a 10-year-old in 3 minutes?
That would be hard because I can't explain nothing in 3 minutes. Like, you know, yes.
Well, Jay did a decent job at laying the foundation.
Like, because he did a good job. Yeah, so
I mean, so okay, so how would you explain it though? To just a young person or an older person who's analog, who doesn't understand the digital world. That's why
I'm sorry. If I was talking to an older person, the best way to explain it is say it's a bank account on steroids. It's a bank account that's going to multiply every 4 years. And when we into finances, when you into money and stocks and crypto, we looking to multiply. That's the key word, not add, multiply.
In crypto, we talk in X's. We don't talk percentages. We talk X's. X's is multiplying.
Yeah.
2x,
10x,
5x, 10x.
Yeah.
10x.
Multiply your money. So for a grown up or older person, I would tell them that investing in the stock market, crypto, or anything like that would be putting your money in a bank account that has a little juice to it, which means that every 4 years is going to multiply.
Let me ask y'all this in full transparency, Sidel, along your journey, your Bitcoin journey, have you ever had regret when it went down and you lost money? Did you ever have any sleepless nights? Did I make the right decision?
Well, all of those things, I would have to say yes. Sleepless nights. The sleepless nights wasn't because of things that I didn't do. Sleepless nights was because of how much money I was making. It's hard to sleep when you lay down and you close your eyes and then you like, I wonder what crypto doing. And you wake up, you open your eyes and you like $5,000 richer than you were an hour before you close your eyes. You can't sleep after seeing nothing. Like, it's like being in the casino. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're in a casino, like, you wonder if they pumping oxygen in there or something, because it's like you never get sleepy. You don't know what time it is. It's just like you just ready to go. And as far as like with the regrets, I mean, yeah, you have regrets because it's like, the last bull run was my first bull run, and it's like you have great fear and greed that kick in. Like, and in order to be successful at like what we're doing, like I'm sure Jay would agree, you have to do the opposite of what your emotions are telling you. You have to get to a point to where it's like if you got like that sick feeling in your stomach and you like, you feeling scared, that's when you should be buying. And when you feeling like, oh man, I'm a genius, like, oh, that's when you should be selling. And I was at the point to where I'm like, oh man, I'm a genius. And I'm like, okay, I've seen like some stuff to where it's like in crypto, it was a lonely road, because the stuff that you see, you really can't explain it, because it's like nobody could even understand, like, and nobody could fathom it. And it's kind of like, it's almost would be like bragging, but it's like really you were trying to tell everybody. And now that's why I'm kind of like happy that Jay is aboard now, and he's kind of like at a certain level to where those unbelievable moments, you have somebody to talk to about it. And as far as like with the regret,
well, you can call me, man, because I'm talking Bitcoin.
As far as like regret, yeah, I have regret, some regrets, because
You didn't buy enough.
well, it was when I sold, when I was at a certain point, I was looking at stuff that I should have what I wanted to buy.
Yeah.
I was looking at 100 acres in Georgia, and 100 acres, it was like 100 grand or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I could go cash that out. But then I'm like, if I cash that out, I'm waiting for crypto to do a 2x. And if it just does a 2x, then I'm like, okay, then I'll go and buy it. But if I buy it right now and crypto does that 2x, it's kind of like I paid twice as much for this land because I could just waited and then bought it and still had 100. It turned around and went the opposite direction. We went in a bear market. And now the following year, that 100,000 land that was 100,000, now it's 200,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I should have bought it. And I could have bought it and then wait till next year, then sold half of it, and then I would have had 50 acres for free. And it's like you had to just look at and deal with that for the next 2 years and just be, and then the other regret that I have, I was a part of a Facebook group. And this Facebook group, all they talked about was this one coin. I probably had invested, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, 1,000 hours worth in the studying at this time. And they were only talking about this one coin. And this one coin that they kept talking about, it was 1 penny. And I just disregarded it and I just unfriended this Facebook group. That one coin that was 1 penny, it was called Phantom. Phantom went from 1 penny all the way up to like $3.46.
Wow.
$3,000 invested would have made you a millionaire. And it was like right there in my hand. And I had lost 50,000 on one coin. If I took that money and put it over there, that'd have been like $17 million. So you have like stuff like that, and it's just like, how do you how do you get over something like that?
Right.
Any regrets from you, Jay? We're coming up on the top of the hour.
Just not buying enough. Seeing was buying 3 or 4 cents, like Sidel was talking about.
Probably got to put it closer to Mike.
That same coin right now, it's at $4 at like 20 cents. I was looking at, I regret just not buying more. But let me tell anybody, investing is a non-emotional thing. You cannot become emotional and invest, because the minute things start going down, you want to sell, and you only lose money when you sell it.
Right.
So you don't want to be emotional. Some days you're going to have good days. You're like, yeah, like Sidel was saying, I'm a genius. Then you're going to have some days like, oh, man, why am I putting my money into this? But you can't be emotional. Your emotions got to be let go, and you got to think futuristic. You can't think for today. You got to think for tomorrow, because, like I said, once you use your emotions and invested in anything, you already lost.
Right. Well, in closing, Sidel, you got a wealth of knowledge, man. I think anybody that watches this or was on the live, they learned something. How do people get in touch with you? Do you have a course? Do you mentor?
Well, yeah, I have a I do consultations. You can book a call, free 15-minute call. Instagram, it's my name, Sidel Murray. Same thing on Facebook. You can check out Facebook. I drop videos and stuff on Facebook, telling you how to escape the rat race and how to make money from anywhere in the world, just with your laptop and your cell phone. And it only requires, a couple hours a day. So you can just reach out to me.
Okay. And then Jay, you have a talk tomorrow on crypto or just Bitcoin.
The same conversation we just had.
Okay. Okay. Is that something that's going to be, how do we have a link for that or that I can post or,
Actually, I think the person that I'm doing this for is going to take care of that. I'm just a guest speaker, so I don't know about the backstage stuff just yet. I'm just doing what I'm doing now, just talking to people and telling them, showing them don't be scared. I will say this because I believe it. I don't want to put religion out there, but I believe that God puts the most glorious things in your life on the other side of fear. So once you get over the fear, you'll realize that things are become so much more glorious. I mean, I ain't want to put God or religion inside of a talk about Bitcoin, but it has something to do with it in my belief to a certain extent.
Well, when you see like the type of returns and stuff that you get, you can't you can't help but go to that spiritual place, because it's like you feel like so unworthy for, like, why did this happen to you? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's just amazing, and you want to see everybody succeed. But that's what it really all boils down to, you know. And like, you don't have to apologize for saying it, because that's really what it is. Is all of this stuff is spiritual. You know, money is a spiritual thing.
Yeah, and we definitely, you know, my platform is not religious, but I do. If you listen at all to me, God is the reason. You know that without that, none of this stuff matter.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, so but other than that, Jay, I don't think you have a course or anything out yet. But
no.
Would you like to get your email address at least for people?
Well, I'll tell this. Anybody that's serious, I would ask them to please call your show. I would have everybody go through your show.
Okay.
So they can get in touch with me through you, but they have to go through your show.
Okay. Most definitely. Most definitely.
I would tell people anything that they want to know.
So I want to give both of y'all a chance to just do a quick closing remarks, because I'm convinced that unless something crazy happens with the government, and I don't even know how that can happen, but you know, anything can. I see that just dollar cost averaging, I don't care if you're putting $50 or a week, a month, and if you just do that. So what a lot, that's one thing that Jay, you I think, no, Sidel, I think that was you. One of y'all explained to me that I could buy small percentages of Bitcoin. I could spend $100.
You can spend $5, $10.
Yeah, I could spend $5 and still, and that $5 when Bitcoin goes up, that $5 goes up. It's not where you have to have a whole coin. You just need percentages of a coin. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think they can't get in unless they get in at 100,000 now.
I used to think that. I used to think like when Bitcoin was 11,000, the person who introduced it to me, they said it was 11,000. I thought it was like stupid. I was wondering how the person that told me about it, how they got 11,000 to buy a coin.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I used to think the same thing. Yeah, so
yeah, but that's not true. Like you can, like I say, $30 a month, and you will be. Listen, I remember when Bitcoin was that 11,000. I remember. This was before they had Bitcoin ATMs in the stores. This was before, because it's a whole country that adopted Bitcoin. What's the name of it?
El Salvador.
El Salvador, yeah. and I know right now, I don't know if they still do it, but they had a whole wave where they were just, you could buy things with Bitcoin, and they just were ahead of the curve, man. I don't know why they did that, but it was smart looking back in hindsight.
Yeah, because yeah, I'm not even gonna go, because I go on and on about this, but yeah, we could
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I do want to say something real quick to the people. Just look at when you remember Bitcoin when it first came out, where it was. Look at it now being 100,000. It's going to be a time where Bitcoin is 1 million, and you're gonna look back at this like 100,000. I could have bought some then.
Yeah.
So it sounds like 100,000 a lot, but you're not putting in 100,000 at one time. You could put in $1 a day. You're just trying to build up to that level.
Right.
Most people won't make it, but you don't have to have that much. And then this is time sensitive because it's only 21 million Bitcoin for the whole world. So it's not just the United States. We competing against China, Russia, India, Pakistan, all the Middle East, Antarctica, like all these people, we all trying to get the same piece of that pie. And that pie is cut into 21 million slices. And once that pie is gone, there will never be any more. So you want to get as much as you can. And what I will say, since everybody is not getting a full slice of that pie, every time that pie is cut, crumbs that's falling. And as you pick up those crumbs and collect them, you'll look back and realize you got a slice of the pie yourself.
Right. That's real. That's real. Well, thanks, Jay. Sidel, is anything you want to say?
Just educate yourself, because what a lot of people are scared of what they don't understand. And the way that you overcome fear is through education. So educate yourself on this technology, because this is the future. And in order for you to invest the amount of money that you need to, you actually have to be educated on it. There's nothing that we could say that can convince you to do it. You actually have to go and do the research for yourself. So if I was to give some advice, I would just say go and research, for yourself. And if you start small, so that you can get used to the fluctuations and everything. And there's no time to get started. What do they say? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is like right now. So
right now,
best time to buy Bitcoin was 10 years ago. The next best time is right now.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. I appreciate y'all coming on here today. This was a last minute. We had technical difficulties, so we had Jay. Jay Mack was he got an Android, and he couldn't really get inside his settings. Yeah. That's real good. Well, listen, man. We 15 minutes over time. I like to keep this short and sweet. I appreciate y'all coming take time out with me on the Pattern Disruption Podcast. We will definitely be doing this again. I normally didn't try to talk finance because I'm a dinosaur. I do real estate and sweat equity. But with this new,
Excuse me, not to cut you off, Eric, please forgive me. But the crypto game and the real estate game go hand in hand. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, they do. They do. I agree. Because I was going to ask where
you got real true passive income in crypto. Real estate, it ain't really passive.
Yeah, it's really not passive. You still got to manage it.
Yeah,
at least.
Crypto is straight passive.
Yeah. So I like to welcome everybody thank everybody for being here. I'm your host, Eric Rhymes. It's the Pattern Disruption Podcast. I'm just getting back to doing the show after I took a couple months off. I had a major life situation where I had to change directions, but we're coming back. My camera's been all everywhere, and I appreciate y'all enduring this struggle streaming with the cell phone to the mic. But I do appreciate that. Yeah, it's gonna be much better next time. We're gonna give out iPhones when we start these. Nah, they're gonna be talking stuff in the comments. But thank y'all for being here on this Friday. Y'all go out, be great. Information is power. Well, applied information is power. Yeah, applied information is power. So I appreciate everybody being here. We checking out Sidel, Jason McHenry. We out. Peace.